We are gold and blue, born in 1872, the greatest team in the world. We are known as we follow on. We are the people through and through, the gold and blue since.
Good afternoon, all, and welcome to Bold and Blue 1872, your Glasgow Rangers podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined today, as always, by my good friend Jack. And Jack, how's things, mate?
It's all good. I mean, it's grey outside, but it's a happy Monday nonetheless, or Tuesday, should I say? My weekend's been extended, I think, in my head.
Yeah, it's been fun, hasn't it? There's a great feeling around at the moment. I must say, it's been a while. It's been about 2 years actually since I've had this feeling. Since we last thought we were in with a chance of making a fight of it. But it does feel a bit different this time, doesn't it? There's something about the team at the moment, but we'll get into it in more detail. It's teeming with rain over here, as they say. We've got an orange weather warning at the moment, so I might get a phone call during this, go and pick up the wee man. But we'll go and see how it goes. I think we'll kick off. I mean, we're still in the January transfer window, and everyone is top of the agenda as the transfers at the moment. A strange one materialised in the last kind of 24 hours. A fellow named Ryan Naderi, playing in the German third league, third division, if you will, playing for Hansa Rostock. This one's kind of came out of left field, hasn't it? There was no rumours about this. Third division in Germany, £2.5 million reported. A player on transfer market, he's rated at 1.4 million euros. Rostock only bought him last year from Mönchengladbach for 200k. He never played any senior football until Hansa Rostock had signed him. But in saying that, he has scored about 8 goals in 17 games since he's been there this season. And a little caveat here, the boy's injury record is not great. He's been injured for a bit of this season as well. Thoughts on this one? It's kind of, like I said, came out of left field, but interesting one, Jack.
I just on that, I mean, I heard it the other day, and I was like, Ryan Naderi? I was like, who's Ryan Naderi? I was like, so I went and had a look, and I was like, German third division, and I was like, oh. I mean, is he 6'7", 6'4", something? I know he's quite,
He's
quite a big lumpy lad, but I mean, I honestly don't know an awful lot. I've spent the last 24 hours trying to find, bits and pieces and whatnot. I had actually seen that in regards to the injuries. So it sounds like a player that would be ideal for us based on past experience. But again, to me, it's slightly unusual. I mean, I know there's been a lot of chat around a WOW signing, that people have been referring to, and I've seen all sorts of suggestions. But I don't know if
you mean another German guy that was being rumoured.
Yeah.
I'll talk about him in a minute, actually.
But I just, I don't know. Is frank? I mean, he's 22. Could be one for the future. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd rather spend that amount of money on a project player than the 8 million that was spent for Chimiti as a project signing. But I don't really know much about him, so I'm probably going to spend the rest of the week furiously trying to find out about him before he comes in, which looks like it, as far as all intents and purposes, looks like it is going to happen.
Yeah, I think so. A couple of there's some dependencies, I believe, on Danilo actually going. We'll get to Danilo in a moment. Apparently, Hansa is also Rostock has also said that that they need to bring someone in before they'll let him go. And apparently, Rangers, it's also reported, have other targets in mind. So, is this one a done deal? I believe Chris Jack has said he reported yesterday that there was interest. And then later on in the day said that there had been a formal bid that was made for him as well. So he's a big beanpole, right? I mean, my only concern here is, I mean, he could be a completely different player in terms of, you know, hunger and desire and potential, etc. But he is very Miovsky-like. You know, it does appear that way. I did read some reports that he can play as a second striker, so he's not necessarily the out-and-out target man that people are making him out to be. He does seem to have potential to play kind of just as a kind of second striker behind the main striker, or could that be ideal for someone like Chermiti? I doubt it. So this one, to me, is a bit odd because it doesn't necessarily give us more options, in my opinion. It gives us a similar striker to what we already have. But I like, similar to yourself, Jack, I don't know enough about this lad. Why would we? He plays in the German third division. And saying that, we pulled Hamza from the middle of nowhere in Morocco, and look how that played out. So am I concerned about shopping in a market like that? Absolutely not. I think that's the kind of place we should be shopping. But I'm a little concerned about a 2.5 million fee for a player that just got punted for 200k last season, and hadn't really played much football. Hadn't played any senior football, period, until that point. So yeah, interesting one.
The only thing I was going to jump in and say, you mentioned Hamza. The other person I was thinking of was Morelos when he came from the Finnish league.
Yeah.
And we know how he worked out in the end. So, I mean, it could be one of those ones, and we go, oh, you know, that was great, you know, and what a decision. But I just, again, don't know much about him. I don't, the stature and stuff about, you know, like you said, his size and that, and like, you know, I don't know. Very Miovsky, like, in terms of, like you said, that I don't know. Like, as I said, I will be spending the rest of the week furiously watching third division highlights.
Now, just one, I really don't mean to be negative about this one, but just prior to his 8 goals in 17 games, when he was playing under 19s, under 21s football, his scoring record was actually pretty bad. He'd scored like 6 goals in 37 games or something like that. Yeah, listen, we trust the team to be looking at players that are going to make a difference. This one, I don't know. It's not adding up to me, but I'd you know, if he comes in, I think he would offer more than Danilo if Danilo is outgoing. Then I don't think that would be hard at the moment. And we'll talk more about Danilo in a moment. The only other kind of incoming rumor that has been, I suppose, it's no longer a rumor. It does look as if it's not going to happen. Dan Neil is someone that we've covered a number of times in our last few pods that was looking like there was a high potential for it to happen. Apparently, he was doing a medical last night at Ipswich. I'm not sure if that's true. I'd heard the day before that he was a shoe-in to move to West Ham, Sheffield United. I mean, this guy has been linked with more clubs than, I don't know. Like, it's been a while since I've seen someone linked to this amount of clubs, and so I mean, he's definitely a man in demand. I read 2 days ago Rangers were still favourites for him. I don't know what's happening with this one, but it does, you know, with all those rumours of clubs down in England, it does appear it's not going to happen. So we can move on from there, but I still think we need that number 6, and that's what I'm concerned about.
Just to break some more hearts, Ipswich Town have confirmed it as of an hour ago that Danilo has been signed. So just had that look up there. So he's
ahead of the game, mate. Yeah, okay. Brilliant. I still think we need that 6. Like, it does seem, I mean, all the rumours right now seem to be in that forward player, but I still think we need that 6. I know there was some rumours about us signing a right back as well. The Max Lowe one was there for on the left side from Sheffield Wednesday. I think we were in for the right back at Sheffield Wednesday as well, apparently. But that might be at the end of the season. But that's not a priority for me. If anything, I think it was the number 6 and the centre back that I was looking at. No rumours of the centre back, but I think we've covered that to death. I think that The club has never been looking for a centre back this entire window, by the sounds of it. Soapy probably back next week. Sterling back in training, so he won't. It won't be long till we see him back on the pitch. So I still think that 6 is a problem, though, mate. And if Daniel's out the picture, doesn't seem to be any other rumours out there. Watt was obviously doing the rounds for a while, but doesn't look as if Watt's going to be made available, and he's injured until February as well. So I don't know. Do I think that the striker or that forward player is the priority? I do, but I still think that 6 is needed. And if we don't get it, it could be the difference maker. But let's talk about the outgoings. Danilo, he is apparently there's been an offer of €2 million, not pounds, from Paphos in Cyprus. Heavily rumoured as well that Neck over in the Netherlands is interested in him as well. €2 million, I think that's about right for Danny, unfortunately, right now, given how he's been playing. I mean, he scored, we'll get on to it, he scored yesterday, but on Sunday, but yeah, it looks like Danny's out on his way, mate. What do you think of that?
I think, as I said, the €2 million odd euros, I would just take it, and cut your losses. I think he's still highly thought of, and like obviously the Eredivisie, and his time he spent in Holland, but it's just not worked out for him. Even from like the injuries, from like even go back to that St. Johnstone one, like in terms of like that impact injury, and what that does in terms of confidence, and and finding yourself into like these kind of physical challenges, etc., which you'll find in the Scottish League. I just don't think he's looked the player that we maybe thought we were getting, and. Yeah. I mean, what is it, 6 million we paid for him, give or take. I think even just getting some of that back and getting the wages off the books is probably the most important thing for me anyway.
Yeah, he's reportedly right at the top end of our wage earners. So some reports saying he's the highest wage earner. I don't know if that's accurate, but and there's a bit of money in Cyprus. I think maybe they can afford that. I wonder if we're going to have to fork out something towards his salary. I don't know. But yeah, I think Danny's time has come. I'm gutted with this one, to be honest with you. He's one. It frustrates me, to be honest with you, when I hear people giving him such a hard time, because he's, like I've mentioned this before, he had such a run of bad luck with us in terms of those impact injuries. None of it. And it's in particular when he got his face smashed. I mean, he put himself in the danger zone for that one, no hesitation. Some horror tackles that he's took as well. You hear people saying that he's not robust enough for our league. Some of the tackles that he took, I don't think anybody would have been robust enough to be dealing with that. So I'm gutted with this one that it's not worked out. I think Danilo is one of those guys that every fan has been willing to do better, and it's just not happening. So, but I do have one other outgoing rumour that's happening at the moment. I don't think this is going to happen, but I think it's a really good conversation to be having. Deji Gassama seems to be attracting a lot of attention at the moment. There's been rumours for a while. Club Brugge were in for him, or have been interested in him. Villarreal have been interested in him, but I think that those rumours were more looking towards the end of the season that he might move on. It was reported yesterday that Monaco actually made a bid for him, so it was a loan bid with an obligation to buy. So they would have been buying him outright, basically, with that just because it was a loan initially. The obligation means they're buying him. Don't know what the numbers are, but it's reported, it's rumoured it's around €6 million. This is a strange one for me because Gassama has shown us, in my opinion, not enough. He's shown us glimpses of what he can do, but just way too inconsistent. I do have some sympathy that he's been playing on the right-hand side when I definitely think he's more attuned to playing on the left-hand side. Seems a lot more effective over there. But this one's grinding on me because Curtis is being sent out on loan to Kelly. I've been banging on about Curtis getting more game time. I think Curtis has shown more when he's played than Gassama has. He's more consistent, seems a bit more interested. I'm not sure where Gassama's head is at right now, but we'll talk about the Dundee game. But I thought he looked very lazy and wasn't really. I seen a few balls passing him by where he didn't even look interested and kind of chasing it down. I don't know. I'm torn with this one. I don't think it's going to happen anyway, but I think it's an interesting conversation. Curtis or Gassama? For me, Curtis should be starting ahead of Gassama. So why are we loaning him out and not selling Gassama would be my dilemma. What's your thoughts on that, Jack?
So interestingly, before I even read about this, when I was watching the Dundee game and Gassama scored his goal, I just didn't really feel much for him. Like I know you can't really look into things like that, like in the amateur psychology, but I'm like thinking, you scored the goal, you're relatively new at the club, you've sealed the win essentially, or put the gloss on it. Yeah. It just was like, all right, okay, and then turned around and walked away, and I'm kind of going, I don't know, it just felt off to me, and I was like, okay, that's a bit strange. He's not been effective. I feel like whenever he has, or you see him, he's complaining a lot, like even if it's like fouls and stuff. And I know you can, nip at the referee, but every time I've seen him, he's either making the wrong decision, he's complaining about something, and I'm just like, I was going to say blowing hot and cold, but now it's more just blowing cold all the time. I do think he should be probably out of the team for a bit. I actually had seen a discussion about him being, an impact player, better as an impact player, coming off the bench, tired legs, etc. Would I take £6 million or whatever it is for an impact player? Just in general, that sounds good. I'd be like, well, maybe I'd consider it. But Finlay Curtis, so I think we've had this conversation about Finlay Curtis. So everyone talks about Finlay Curtis and how good a player he is, right? And I have always made this point of watching him when he come on, right? The Annan game, I know it's Annan, etc. But I've said to myself, not that I don't see it, but like whenever I watch him, like I'm looking for like, this top level that I'm not seeing. So last couple of times he's came on, I made a point of just watching Curtis. And I have to say, effort and desire, 10 times the amount of Gassama, getting back, winning a ball, fighting for that. But I don't know if it was against Ludogorets, couldn't say that there the other night, when he came on. Drives at a man. It might even be the Dundee game, I can't remember. But anyway, comes on, drives at a man, couple of step overs, has a dig, at goal, and you're like, oh, hello, like, where did you come from, sort of thing. And I did think he was much more effective than Gassama. I do still think Gassama probably has a higher ceiling, but I don't really feel that he's invested in it. That's the impression I get. It's the honest truth. Like, yeah. And I'm like, as his head getting turned with all the chat, etc. If he's not interested, I'm happy to sell him. I'll take, 6 million or whatever it is. Maybe stick a wee sell-on clause in there if we can do that as well. But I did still think it was a bit of a cheek to ask for a loan, even though it was an obligation to buy. I'd rather just go, right, if you want him, you pay for him now, sort of thing. But I don't know. Working with Danny Rule knows him very, very well. I'd like to think he could get more out of him, but actually I feel it's been the opposite. Like he's going the other way. Yeah. So I don't know. It is a strange one because I was excited when he signed. I spent a lot of time when he was signing watching. Now, don't get me wrong, it's kind of younger, like elite youth football. But I remember watching him and I'm going, this guy's a player. Like, just that fearlessness to take people on. But even now when I watch him, he will take people on, but sometimes he just runs down a channel and doesn't know what decision to make or what to do with the ball. And he's very, very frustrating at the minute. The right-hand side is going to be out of the equation now with Scott Wilson. So it's like when he comes in on the left, he really has to be, top performing or else he's out of the team as far as I'm concerned.
In favour of who? Because Curtis is going to kill you. Do you know what I mean? Moore can play over there. Mr. Matondo is still around. By the way, Matondo was another one where for all the will in the world, sometimes I've watched Matondo and I've thought, wow, what a player. But it's like one game. Well, I suppose it's one game and then he gets injured. But I just if you're saying if the club is saying to me, we've got a choice of playing Curtis are playing Gassama, and one of them's going to leave if they don't, if you've got an option of getting that money for Gassama or Curtis going to Kelly. For me, it's Curtis all day. And that's, I think, what you mentioned there about a couple of step overs and then he tries to make an attempt on goal. That's what I've seen from Curtis time and time again. He's got one thing in mind. I think he's got a lot to work on tracking back. I think he's got a lot to work on with his decision making at times. But he's also 3 or 4 years younger than Gassama. So I would disagree with you in terms of Gassama looks like he's got a higher ceiling. I think Curtis has shown more at a younger age than Gassama ever has. So, but maybe I haven't seen enough of Gassama in his younger years. But I don't know, Gassama, like you said there, you hit the nail on the head for me. He's so frustrating. His decision making is appalling, absolutely appalling. He's the amount of time that I see him just kind of run into traffic, retain the ball when there was an outlet for him to make a pass. I would use the word greedy, but I don't mind a player being greedy. But there needs to be an end product if you're going to be greedy. And Gassama for me doesn't show it enough. I mean, he scores a lovely goal at the weekend there, very similar to the types of goals that Gassama tends to score now. And it's off the left. You mentioned that relationship with Danny Rowe. I don't know why he's playing him on the right when we've had other options there, like Curtis. Now Scove is there. Obviously, Scove will probably be the number one choice on the right now. But so yeah, let's see. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be sold. My understanding is Gassama does not want to leave. Whether or not that's now, he doesn't want to leave before the summer or doesn't want to leave, period, is a different question. But his body language it's not great, is it? It doesn't look great on the park at the moment, but it's an interesting one.
Just to clarify that, Chris, as I said, that was just from me watching the game. That was before I was aware of any sort of this Monaco situation.
Yeah.
Like, because I was watching it, I'm going, that seems really, really bizarre. But yeah, I suppose we'll see.
Well, I don't think he had any. There was any. Well, you never know. Maybe he knew that Monaco was interested in him. But let's see how this plays out. Like I said, I don't think he's going anywhere anyway. So there doesn't seem to be any rumours anymore about us being in for other wingers. So I'd be very, very surprised if Gassama goes. But has Curtis been confirmed to Kelly yet? I know it was again another this morning. Jack had put out another release saying the offer's on the table. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's been finalised. I wonder if he's waiting for the Porto game to get that out of the way, and then probably we'll see other players move on. Still rumours about Rothwell doing the rounds. Rumours about Rabi. I don't think we're lucky enough for Rabi to be moving on this window. I think he'll be there for the foreseeable future. Rothwell, apparently some of the moves for him have fallen through because the people have been wanting loans and we've been wanting it permanent. I hope that doesn't scupper getting him off the salary belt, because after the Porto game, and there's no use for him whatsoever. Because we're very limited in our options for that Porto game, and we'll speak about whether or not we should go full strength there or whatever what other options we do have. But after the Porto game, Rothwell's not getting anywhere near this team. And the only reason he would play in the Porto game is because we've got such limited options with the squad that we've registered. So, yeah.
Just to interrupt you very quickly on that. My thing with that is I'm not fussed about a loan as long as there's an obligation to buy put in there, or else it's a sale, because what will happen with Kieran Dowell, Ben Davies, etc. They go away and they'll come back and we'll be left sitting with them again throughout the summer trying to get rid of them. So, yes, Porto game, I think beyond that, there's not much use for him.
He's got a good reputation down in England. I can't see why we can't just get this one done. And there's so many clubs being linked with him. But yeah, I mean, that is another one. Dowell was obviously confirmed during the week there as well that he is finally moved on. I actually thought that he was going to Hull on a loan until the end of the season, but they've made it a permanent move, so we must have got a few quid for it at least, which is nice. But yeah, in terms of transfers, that's where we're at right now. I do expect there to be something, even if we do bring in Ryan Naderi or another striker. I think there's something else going on there. Thomas Muller, let's just lay that one to bed for the people that have been on mushrooms out there. I know it was reported by a certain outlet that is always reliable for their news. I say that facetiously, but this guy, there's an article out there that if you want to go and find that, he is obviously playing in the MLS for what Canada team is it? Sorry, I know it's the MLS, but he's playing in Canada. Yeah, Toronto Whitecaps, isn't it? They had their quota for their capped salary players full, and that will no longer be the case for next season. And Thomas Muller is expected to go from about 25 grand a week to about 100 plus K per week. To my knowledge, Thomas Muller is not a Rangers supporter, so I don't really see any incentive for him to be saying no to 100 grand a week to come to Rangers and play for a fraction of that, I would assume. So Thomas Muller is not going to happen. Who was the other one that I'd heard as well? There was another mental one.
Rudiger mentioned in there as well. I've seen that one.
Yeah. Again, this guy's on about 150 grand a week or something like that, Jack. Come on.
Spears Andrew Kavanagh found that down the back of the couch. Come on.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure he does. But yeah. Yeah, it's mental, some of the links. But I think we got carried away with the rumours that there was going to be a marquee signing made in the final days of the transfer window. Whether or not you think is he 37 now, Thomas Muller? I'm not even sure. 36, 37. Whether or not you think that's a marquee signing, I'm not sure. He's been playing great over in the MLS. There's no doubt about that. Rudiger, he's an animal. I don't even like that. He's got red card every second game written all over him. So right, we did have some games during the weekend at the weekend there since we last caught up. Ludogorets game. Listen, we won, and that for me was important, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Scrappy game, wasn't great to watch in my opinion, Jack. Dio's goal was scrappy as well, kind of flicking it around off different players in the box, and Dio gets a shot off, and we win the game 1-0. What more can you ask for, I suppose, in terms of the win is the win there. With, again, I'll stress, limited options. We couldn't play any of our new players, even some of our players that have been playing week in, week out were not registered either. So limited options for the Euro. Great atmosphere at Ibrox. But yeah, job done against Ludogorets. Wasn't much more to say about it, Jack.
Nah, it was very much that. I hate to be. I mean, I do think there should be a couple more goals maybe for Rangers, just on the balance of playing what I watched. But I'd have to say it was as dull as dishwater. People like to say so. But as you said, the most important thing, I think, also not only things such as coefficient points, but I think just getting that kind of, monkey off the back, shall we say, for Danny, in terms of, getting that first European win, another clean sheet, didn't look overly troubled, throughout the whole 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't want to go through the whole Europa League campaign with not picking up a win. So I was glad to do so.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, and I'm always quick to commend players even when I've been slaughtering them. I thought Diamande was great in that game. We were by far the better team. I think you're right. We probably could had more goals in us in that game, but I don't think they ever really. I think they had a couple of attempts where I was a bit concerned, but nothing more than that. It was a decent performance against a decent team. Ludogorets are not the mugs that maybe they're made out to be. But again, I think it's worth noting that I thought Diamande was excellent. And I will say Diomande for the last few games that he's played, I think he's been pretty decent as well, which is great. Regardless of what I've thought of him prior to that, if he's coming onto a game and Danny's getting the best out of him, great. It's another highly sellable asset that is starting to perform. So certainly no complaints from there. So well done, Diamande, and obviously well done for the goal. The game I'd like to spend a bit more time talking about. And we'll talk more about Europe. I'll cover Porto in a moment because I do want to talk about the coefficient. But the Dundee game at the weekend there. Very torn on this one, to be honest with you. I was struggling with that first half. I mean, straight off the back, it was great to see Toshi in from the start and Skov Olsen in from the start. Obviously, we're aware that Tour Romans is still maybe needing another week or two, but the first half was a tough watch. I was so slow. I was so slow. Some of the decision making I thought was really bad. Thought Manny Fernandez and he, for me, he was my man in the match for the entire game. But I thought he was great. But yeah, from an attacking perspective, I thought we were really, really poor in that first half. Skov Olsen and Flashy showed his quality. Fellow Asgard was probably the better of a really bad bunch from an attacking perspective, but he wasn't great either. Mikey Moore, I thought was terrible. Thought he was really, and that's a few games in a trot now. I've struggled with Mikey. And Miovsky was effort. I would give him an 8 out of 10, but influence on the game, he's down it. He's barely getting a 1 out of 10. What did you make of the first half, Jack?
I can't really put any more than you said, other than I thought it was pretty awful. And I think in my head I'd expected, them team to come flying out the traps, as in I kind of understand the Ludogorets game, and there was definitely, I wouldn't say it was like the top side, but it was kind of more managed in terms of who was playing and whatnot. And yeah. I just thought, pick your best 11, you go out there. I mean, first and foremost, I'm going to say I can't believe I was really like, where's Yusuf Chermiti? Where's YC9? I was like, what? Where's it gone? But I actually do feel that he was missed in the game, and I'm not talking from a finishing perspective, but I'm talking about that all-round play. Yeah. I think it's the things he does that it's not overly highlighted, all the time. It's not as flashy as goals, but the ability to hold the ball up, bring people into play. Like, nothing stuck with Miovsky. Like, he worked hard. I will not say he didn't, but it just wasn't going to come off for him. And it was just so pedestrian. I think that's the word. That's how I feel. It looked like they were just going through the motions. I do agree. Asgard was probably the best of a bad bunch. And I was just like, well, what's happened? Like, where's the desire? I mean, Manny Fernandez nearly pulls off like an overhead, a scissor kick, a bicycle kick, what you want to call it, bringing it down the chest. And I was like, this guy is just, just trying to break the record for not only how many goals, but what's the most, craziest goal a centre back can score in a season. But he was my man of the match as well. He was very calm, composed. Like, when you look at him next to someone like Nasser Giga, who, for all intents and purposes, is a more experienced player. Like, I felt safer when Fernandez was on the ball. Yeah, I'm becoming slightly more accustomed to the fact that he likes to, do the odd Cruyff turn in defence, take the ball with him, and it still gives me the slight fear. But I've got more. He's so calm, but I couldn't wait for like the second half to start because I thought there's no way that Danilo was going to be happy with that first 45.
Yeah, I think there was some harsh words spoken at half, and Danny kind of touched on it in his post-match presser as well. But yeah, just on Manny Fernandez though, just before we move on, and by the way, I mean Toshi played well for me as well for his first game, his first full game. But he's that offside with the goal. I thought if he just had delayed it, he was a bit too quick off the mark. If he delayed his run in there, it was a lovely ball coming in from Skov Olsen, by the way. So again, Skov was showing flashes of his quality in that game. if Toshi would have just held off his run, that was going to be an easy goal for us. So, but I thought Toshi was quite good across the whole game. I know him and Skov came off around I think it was the 55th minute, round about that mark. But Manny's that overhead kick, it wasn't the overhead kick for me that impressed me. It was the little shoulder he take to control the ball. Yeah, I have to say I'm quickly falling in love with Manny Fernandes. For all the criticism we've given Kevin Fairwell, Manny Fernandes could be the jewel in the crown in terms of potential big money moves that we might see. He is oozing with all sorts of class at the moment. He's got a few things he needs to work on. There's no doubt about that. And I think even over the course of half a season, we've seen him get a lot better at things that he was, half a season's not even fair. We only started really seeing him 2 months ago, right? So 2 months ago, even from that point to now, the improvements that I've seen in him has been remarkable. But the second half, game of two halves, like you said, looking forward to seeing what they would do in the second half. The penalty obviously changes everything. James Tavernier, his 100th league goal. Lovely penalty. Never really in doubt that Tav was going to mark his 100th goal with a penalty, I suppose. But that was around about the 48th minute, and it did change the game. But I would have expected us to kick on a lot more after that. We do obviously get to we're in injury time before we see the second goal. 2 goals. Danilo with a lovely finish. Seemed very emotional after it. Apparently he's just about to have his second child as well. That's why he's down in London. So he was doing the child with the ball up the shirt, pregnancy belly thing. But he did, as soon as he scored the goal, I seen a lot of people saying what's going on with Danilo. He looked like he broke down immediately. Because I seen a lot of the players coming around him and consoling him, kind of saying, come on. But yeah, Danilo scores a lovely goal. And then, like we said earlier on, Gassama off the left, not the right, playing off the left, is effective and scores a lovely goal himself. But listen, I think Dundee played well. I think they set themselves up very well to play against us. So credit where it's due from that perspective. But and it's a 3-0 win, clean sheet, 8 wins in a trot for Danilo and the team. For anyone that is wondering, by the way, the last time we went on a run like this was PC 2 years ago when we were in we thought we were in for a title challenge. He went for 9 league games unbeaten. 9 league games winning. He had a couple of cup games in there, so I think it was about 11 in a row in total. But 9 league games was so that was the last time we went on any kind of run like this. Yeah, thoughts on those last couple of goals, the second half, Jack? Tab's 100th goal. What do you think?
I'm just going to put it there a bit of a special mention for Tav. I've always been a big Tav fan. For all his faults, for all he's there. I mean, for somebody you want to put on the spot who has to almost score that goal. I mean, how does that game end if he doesn't score that penalty? You know what I mean? And for anybody watching, it's a penalty all day. I've seen some shouts of people saying, but he'd already taken the shot. Doesn't matter. It's a penalty. Yeah. It's a penalty. But the thing is for me is like, I mean, 100 goals, a lot of them will be penalties. But, are we ever going to see a right back for Rangers in that kind of numbers again? No. Very, very happy for him. But again, I expected more from that point. I mean, even the way they won the penalty, ball was played fast. They moved the ball about fast movement, played it into Raskin, hits the shot. I'm sure it was Raskin. Obviously, get the penalty, score. And I thought, right, excellent. Here's 1. Where's 2 and 3? However, as good as Dundee were, I never really felt we were massively out of control of the game. I felt Rangers were always in control of it. I think Rangers at the minute, even when they're not flashy, which they've not really been, I I think they're quite efficient, and that's it. It just keep ticking off the games, ticking off the wins. Even if it's a scrappy 1-0 or whatever. I mean, the clean sheets as well. We're building up clean sheets. It's becoming normal to see clean sheets again and not have Jack Butland have to make 12 to 15 saves to even get close to one, in a game. So I'm really happy. I mean, I'd take boring wins all day, if it gets us there in the end. But I just want a bit more. I will say I genuinely was surprised at how much I missed Chermiti in the side. Really, really was quite surprised by that. I thought Miovski was going to be a brilliant signing, but it's just not. It's just not working for him, and that's after scoring a hat trick against Annan a couple of weeks ago. I know it's against Annan, but in terms of confidence, he just doesn't look confident, or it's almost like he doesn't know what he's doing in terms of where he should be or how he plays, etc. So for me, definitely, I mean, that we talked about centre forward. A centre forward is a must for me, and that's where I'll go back to. We talked about that Ryan Naderi. Is he going to be the game changer? I don't know. I don't think so, judging by that. So, but yeah, another 3 points puts us into second place. Good job done. But I think just when you talked about Danilo post match, I'm not saying he's not happy with the run and the effectiveness of getting the win, but I just felt there was much more kind of pointedness from him in terms of how the team actually played, in terms of what he wanted more of.
Yeah, I think you can see that Danny Rowe he's increasing his expectations on the team at this point, hasn't he? He's wanting more from them. It was a bit more about just getting wins before. Now I think he's looking for more than that, which is music to my ears, because some of these performances are torrid. Winning is everything. That's all that matters. Do you know that I will special mention to Magoma, by the way. I thought Magoma was great at left back. That boy's going to be some talent. I know he's not going to be our player at the end of the season, but he is just every game now. He's a solid 7 out of 10. He's very reliable, and for a boy of that stature, he's got some grit about him. So, but just on the penalty as well. I know there's been another team in Glasgow that's been complaining about a penalty over the weekend that was 100% a penalty. Not penalty, red card. There's been another team in Glasgow that's been complaining about a red card that was 100% a red card. How Ethan Hamilton doesn't get a red card for a second yellow after that penalty as well. Anyone complaining about it not being a penalty is again on mushrooms. But that was more than just a penalty. Can you explain the rules to me, Jack? Does anyone know the rules? How does he get away with almost a 2-footed challenge in the box on Raskin and doesn't get a second yellow? Never mind a straight red. I don't get it. Is the rules now that if you give the penalty, you can't give the card, or is that what it is? Just doesn't make sense to me anymore.
I do think it's crazy, but I think there's almost and this is not the rule, just for clarity. The rule is not that you give the penalty, therefore you don't get the card. But I think there's almost that narrative of, well, you got the penalty. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. If that was on the edge, just outside the box, and it was a free kick, it's a second yellow, and then you're looking at a red card. So the same applies. If that happens anywhere on the pitch, you're going to give the second. Well, you should give the second yellow. But I think it almost gets lost in amongst the fact that they got the penalty and we score, and it's that's great. But I just think the standard of officiating, generally speaking, is not great. So point in case. Although I just have to stress that the officials did come to the right decision in one particular match over the weekend.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Yeah, listen, this is a Rangers pod, but the response to that red card has been utterly ridiculous. And see, to be honest with you, this is the reason why it's going to be another 85 games before they'll see another red card, because they do respond like this. Maybe we could take a leaf out of their book and start doing the same, because I suppose it's more of an emphasis on us. We don't react enough when these decisions go against us, as I suppose is more the point. But yeah, that is what it is. What did you think of Scove Olsen in terms of his first game, right? So can't make that much of it. First game at Ibrox, which is tough. A lot of pressure on you to perform. Massive expectations. What do you make of his performance?
I thought it was okay. Like, being honest, what I will say is that ball, and I know you mentioned it, and I'm glad we came to talk about that ball in for Chukwani. I nearly said Toshi there, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. The way, the quality he put that ball in, like, it looked effortless. You know what I mean? He took the ball, he looked up, bang, ball's played in, and it's right on top of, defenders, goalkeepers. Like, it was perfect. We're talking about him being offside, yeah, fair enough, but the quality of that delivery, because I've seen that ball go in, and I was like, wow, like, that's what I'm looking for. I think, I do genuinely think, like, he's going to, go on and actually play. And what really is quite disappointing is having these European games in a way, because, like, it's a bit stop-start for them in terms of playing, because obviously if they could put them in the squad, they would most likely be in and starting. But I thought he done okay. Like, nothing, wow, crazy, mind-blowing, but, like, just that one bit of quality with that ball in particular is what really stood out to me. And I thought, that's the level of quality that we've got. Someone on the right-hand side able to pick that kind of ball out. I was like, that'll do me.
I thought he was really frustrated with Tav. I know you like Tav, Jack, and I'm the opposite. But there was a few times that he was making runs and stuff, and Tav just wasn't seeing it. He was making a pass to Tav, and Tav was just stopping and slowing the game down. Not going to bash Tav. He scored his 100th goal in that game, and Tomo gave him man of the match. Pretty much because of that. He was not man of the match, but I think there's more to come from him, and he could do with having better support with the players around him. I thought that he was maybe a step or two ahead of some people, and that maybe showed, but definitely some real strong glimpses of quality there. So looking forward to seeing more of them. We do move on. We are obviously now second in the league, and we are 4 points behind Hearts and 2 points ahead of our Glasgow rivals. So very happy with that. I think most fans wanted a draw at the weekend in that other game. So that's what materialised. I wanted them to get beat. By them, I mean Celtic. Because I still think it's in our hands anyway. But all round, a draw in that game is probably suited us better. So still a bit to do against Hearts. We'll be playing them in a few weeks, so it won't be that far away, and the Old Firms are always just around the corner. So we're in a title race, Jack. We are in a title race. I've got a feeling, whether or not it's a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race in the next 2 months, we'll see where we are in kind of March, early April. But I think that this might go down to the last couple of weeks this league this year. I've got a feeling it's going to. I think that whether or not we make any more signings, it does look like we've touched on the striker that's probably coming in. But whether or not we make any more signings, I don't think it makes much of a difference to us. What the other side of Glasgow does in the next week, I think will make a massive difference. And I don't think Hearts are probably going to do much more business in this window. So whether or not it's a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race, I'll hold off making a call on that. But I think we're in for a bit of fun this year with this title challenge. So looking forward to it. We do move on to Porto during the week. I do want to spend a bit of time on this, not long, but I've heard a lot of people just kind of, and again, I don't want to repeat myself from other pods. I'd written off the Europa a while ago, but the coefficient points is really has become very interesting. We are still, as we were, we won against Ludogorets. Olympiacos won their game. They are still 4 coefficient points behind us. The major difference here is that Olympiacos are probably going to proceed to the last 24 of their league, whereas we are not. So that gives them more opportunity to have coefficient points, I believe. I've been trying to figure this one out, but I believe that's the case. So even if we lose against Porto, I think it's not great. If we beat Porto, there's still a chance that Olympiacos will overtake us in coefficient points. If they lose against Ajax in their next game, I think it's highly unlikely that Olympiacos will win both of their games in the playoffs. But that's still a possibility as well. But that being said, beating Porto will make a difference. It'll make it a lot harder for Olympiacos to go above us in those coefficient points. I think, how many options do we have with our squad selection on Thursday? Not many anyway. Again, none of the new players can play because they're not registered, etc. Sterling is possibly back. Soapy might be back. I think I'm going full strength for this, mate. I think it's important, but I heard a lot of fans are just play all the players that are potentially leaving in the window and stuff like that. Rabi and Rothwell and all that kind of stuff. Curtis before he goes. I wouldn't actually object to Curtis playing, to be honest, but yeah, what's your thoughts? Do we stick a twist here, Jack? What do you think?
I'm a bit conflicted, if I'm totally honest. I mean, I prefer rest and relaxation, not Rabi and Rothwell. That's definitely not the R&R I'm after. But I think for me, I think the way I look at it, and this is where I'm always this kind of football idealist, like, I think you've got to play a strong side. I think it's important. However, I'll caveat that with we shouldn't be taking risks. So, i.e., if John Souttar is fit, but how fit is he? Do we just leave him out and not take the risk? We'll stick with the Fernandes Giga, partnership. But for example, someone like a Rothwell, yes, I would play him. Sterling, again, he's back, he's training, he's on the grass. We want him as fit as possible. Do I risk him? No, I personally wouldn't. So I think for me to be a mixture, like someone like Rabi Matondo, he's so far out the picture. Like, it's crazy. Joe Rothwell, I'm not saying he's not out of the picture, but we have seen Rothwell. We have seen him play. Rabi's he's came on for the end of a game once. We want to shift him. We want to try and shift him. I highly doubt he's going to go and put, a man of the match performance on against Porto. But if he could show something, that might encourage that. I'll look at the kind of forward scenario. I probably would play Chimity up front. Again, a bit of if he's obviously recovered from his illness, but again, keep him sharp as possible going into obviously the weekend. But again, he'll do more than Miovski. So for me, it's a bit of kind of mix and match, I think, is how I look at it. I do think it's important. Would I be absolutely devastated? I probably, if we lost and say whatever, then no, I wouldn't be. But I do think it's important to give the best attempt. The only thing I would say is that the other thing is Olympiacos do have to, from what I read, and I'm pretty certain on this, they also have to win their league to benefit from that. And I think what are they second? They do have a game in hand on AAK Athens. So again, there's no guarantees either they go on and win the league, even if they get the coefficient. So I think it's definitely risk reward scenario, but I think we play it kind of somewhere in the middle, but leaning on the let's try and take something from it.
Porto
they want to win to guarantee that top 8.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that they're going to go hell for leather to win this game. So it's not going to be easy either way. We've got a good record against Porto. I mean, it's worth noting that. But yeah, let's see what happens. But I think the most important game is Hibbs next weekend. I think whatever your thoughts are in the coefficient challenge or the debate about what kind of strength team we play, I think everyone agrees that the Hibs game is a must win. Now, Hibs not exactly in great form coming into this game. They just got scudded by Falkirk, beat by Dunfermline in the cup as well there. Did they draw with Motherwell the game before that, I believe? So not on the best of form, but still a decent outfit. I'm always confident against Hibs. I just am. Just by hook or crook, we seem to beat them, and that has been the case recently as well. Some torrid games against them, but we typically tend to win. So, yeah, in Edinburgh. Yeah, what's your thoughts? Are you concerned about this one, or are we're heavy favourites going in, aren't we? I mean, from a form perspective, certainly.
Yes, we are. I'm going to just put this out there, right? I am bizarrely never that confident when it comes to playing Hibs. Like, as in, we always end up beating them for the majority of the time. But I don't know if I'm scarred by that Martin Boyle, and
Yeah.
but I just always feel like they're going to raise their game a bit. I know we always say that, but like, I genuinely feel they make it difficult for us, even if we do win. I mean, I don't know. I never look forward to them because I genuinely think, all joking aside, generally speaking, Hibs can be quite a good team going forward. They have always been, as far as I can remember. But I mean, their form's, terrible. And Falkirk, big up the job John McGlynn's doing. But I think if Falkirk can scud them 4-0, I mean, surely we have to get a result, just even on the basis of form. I just don't like it when it goes to Easter Road. I mean, I'm happy when we leave with the 3 points, but I don't know. I mean, I think we will win. I want us to win, obviously, but I always just have a sense of trepidation about the Hibs games. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have had some tough. I don't underestimate the trip to Edinburgh ever against either them or Hearts. Historically, like they've turned us over probably 20% of the time that we've went there, but in the last couple of seasons, we just seem to be beating them. Not nice games, but we just seem to be winning. So I'm not overly concerned about it, but we do obviously. We need to be putting all of our focus on that. I don't know. I'm torn. I'm really unconfident with these playoffs with the Champions League. We're going to play a top team. I know it's only going to be one qualifier to get into the Champions League, but having that automatic qualification is so much money. Do you know what I mean? It makes such a difference. Yeah, listen, I know the Hibs game is the be all and end all. It's the next game in the league. Is we have to win the league to even get a chance at the Champions League anyway. I mean, we've got Hearts. Is it the 15th of February, something like that? 15th of February. Then we've got Celtic in the 1st of March. Some games in between there. Stranraer, Kilmarnock, Motherwell. Probably the informed team in the league at the moment. I was interested in Motherwell had a very similar start to Rangers at the start of the season. Considering where they are in the league, they're 5 points behind Celtic. They had about six or seven draws in their first 6 or 7 games, I think it was. So considering where they had the start they had to the league, Motherwell was going to be a really tough game. I know we kind of took control after about 25 minutes the last time we played Motherwell, but for the first 25 minutes they were giving us a tough game. Right, Jack, I don't know if there's much more we can add. Hopefully we'll see some more signings. We've got until Monday, which will be the end of the transfer window, because we've got an extended transfer window because they can't close it on the weekend. They have to wait till Monday, so it'll be the 2nd of February, I believe it is, before the transfer window closes. Hopefully we see 1 or 2 coming in, but ultimately, if we don't, I wouldn't be too concerned, to be honest with you at this point. But I did forget, as always, to get it in there. If you could like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it for all that are watching out there. As always, we really appreciate the support. If there is anything you'd like to add, Jack, otherwise we will wrap things up.
Just before we go, I just need to pick you up on one thing. The transfer window, it never closes. what is it they say? It slams shut.
It does, yeah.
Jim White would like to say in his yellow tie. But yeah, no, nothing from me. It was very good to chat all things Rangers. And again, as Chris said, thanks to everyone who has tuned in and listened.
Yeah, listen, until next time, this is Bold and Blue 1872, your Glasgow Rangers podcast. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.
We are gold and blue, born in 1872, the greatest team in the world. We are known as we follow on. We are the people through and through, the gold and blue since 1872. With our hearts on fire, we rise to the call. Through the highs and lows, we'll never fall. Glasgow Rangers standing proud and true. Together we sing for the bold and